Okay, so this is Maya, for anyone who doesn't know. I'm going to do some 3D modeling here, and it's going to be um, hopefully basic, pretty basic, um, because I'm not actually going to make like a horse skin with all the anatomy. This is going to be kind of an abstraction, so it's going to require a little bit less like specific modeling and more like blocking shapes and just kind of playing with proportion. Um, so I'm just going to get started. In this case, I don't frequently start with reference, but in this case, um, because I feel like horse shape is so specific, and so it's so easy to detect when it's not right. I am gonna like just kind of start with like a very basic like picture of horse of like actual horse proportions, and I'm just gonna use that as a template. Yeah. Um, yeah. So bear with me here. I'm using the Create Poly tool, and all I'm doing is just kind of creating some shapes that I can key off of when I'm making the actual geometry. Yeah. Um, and I'm just going to choose like the most neutral leg to kind of use as a guide, because when I go to kind of build it, we want it to be pretty neutral, because ultimately I'll be doing like a very basic rig. Yeah. Um, while you're waiting for me to just click on a bunch of points, I can share one thing with you, which was I had seen a lecture at one point by someone named Dr. Stuart Sumida. He kind of talks about anatomy, like animal anatomy, and it's so interesting. Like, man, that head looks huge. Basically, he was like, yeah, like the joints and bones of like many animals are very similar outside of birds and some others. Like, um, anatomically, a human leg is like, you think of it like it's like the leg, then the knee. It kind of goes forward. If a person is facing the same way that this horse is facing, you'd have like sort of your leg hitting the knee, and then from the knee going back to the ankle, and then forward with the foot. In the case of the horse, it looks sort of reversed, where it looks like this backwards knee. Actually, this what looks like a knee is actually your heel essentially, and the knee is up here. So I don't know if you're seeing my mouse, but like the hip is like all the way up here, and then like the knee's here, or the hip's here, and the knee is here, like kind of buried in this mass, and then it goes back to like what is essentially the ankle, and then down to like the toes. It's kind of interesting. Um, but yeah, so like let me turn this image off. I'm gonna reverse these guys. And yeah, this is sort of, so I guess like this is sort of like what I'd think of as like a basic pass at just the what are like realistic proportions. Like right off the bat, like I think I'm gonna actually, before I do that, I'm gonna shrink the head down, but let me get the ears in there just so that they're there. Yeah. I guess it kind of looks bigger because my lines are going just like a little bit outside. I'm using the split poly tool there. Oh no, the multi-cut tool. Yeah, like changing that profile a little bit, yeah. And then, I don't know. I'll just get this kind of close up. I mean, ultimately this is fairly meaningless. And actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just cut, yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna just overlap this a bit. Like this like jaw is like so identifiable as a, like for a horse, that I'm just gonna incorporate that shape. Okay, this is all probably totally not, well, wait a minute, maybe I'll just block in where the eye kind of is, and then I'll just have that as reference. I think I'm gonna go abstracted enough where we're not even gonna see the eye, but just in case I wanna, for whatever reason I want to make that decision later and have an eye represented, I'll just keep it. And the same with the nostril, just in case I want to, just so it's in there. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll hide that. So this is like my basic like start here. And I'll just keep this around. In fact, I'm gonna duplicate this and store it on a layer and just have it as like a template to refer back to. Course. Yeah. Okay, so now that the side profile is done, I'm going to go ahead and just push this into shape in 3D very roughly, again, just to have something to key off of while when I actually make the actual geometry. And I might also, once this is in place, actually use this geometry to create the final geometry. But just for now, I'm gonna kind of start pulling this around. The first thing I'll do is, I think, just extrude this torso, just so I have like the width established, and then I'll be able to pull out the limbs there. Yeah. It's occurring to me right now that I don't know how a horse should look, but fortunately I have the internet. I can see pictures and stuff. So anyway, each one of these I'm gonna just pull out a little bit, and I'll keep that center line, and I'm gonna just kind of duplicate this over. I'm using a lot of hotkeys and stuff, so I'm not going into all the menus and picking out poly modeling tools. I mean, this isn't really a modeling demo exactly. I'm mostly just trying to show you kind of like what my process is here. So there's tons of great like modeling specific demos. I'm just kind of sort of yammering a little bit while I'm working, but I don't really mean this to be a modeling demo specifically. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Does that look like a horse? Kinda. I'll group this guy. I think this is already grouped. Oh no, I didn't. Group that guy. Group this guy. I think they're probably close to the same width apart. Maybe the back one's a little further out. I don't know. Oops. I think the width of the torso is a lot more important. These ones are probably going to be a lot more abstract. The final geometry for the limbs will be a lot more abstract. Yeah. I don't know. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just drawing edges so that once I extrude these shapes like I did the okay, yeah, I'm trying to once I extrude, you'll have edge loops on them already. Yeah, these are black in color because they're inside out. I can solve that one of two ways. I can flip them back the right way, or I could say two-sided lighting in the options, and that works too. but sometimes they behave strangely if they're inside out, so I'll just like, I'll flip them right side in. Okay, so those are those two. And obviously these taper, like they're way thicker on top and it's get skinny on the bottom. Maybe I'll set that up right now. I don't know. So to like grab all this geometry at once to taper it, I'll do like a lattice. Yep. Thicken it. Skinny over here. Ultimately the hoof will get wider, but yeah. And kind of approximate. I don't know, is that right? I don't know. I think this one there's like a much more dramatic taper. Should probably look at some of my reference. I don't know, sometimes I just like guessing and seeing later if I was right. Usually I'm not, but yeah. Nope. Okay. Drop the grid for a sec. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to feel like this is like a reasonable point to pause probably on getting sort of the basic like shape down. I just don't want it to like, I mostly just don't want it to look like an awkward shape, because I feel like when you, unless you get, like I'm not going for realism, but unless you get like some indications of like what a horse should look like, then it can look very strange, even though I'm going to abstract it. So there's just a few anatomical spots I just want to make sure I can key off of and make sure it's identifiable as a horse. So when it's kind of running, you'll be able to like immediately recognize it. I think because what I'm envisioning in terms of the actual shapes that will be moving, they'll be, those parts won't necessarily be recognizable. Like I just want to make sure that it's going to be moving in a recognizable way, if any of that makes sense. So anyway, this is my start at like the template, and then I'm going to go in and create sort of some abstract shapes within this cage.